Welcome everybody again to the Ryerson Loft at Hillel. This week's Parsha is Parsha Bo, and I want to ask what appears to be a very elementary question. Why do we eat matzah on Pesach? Simple, straightforward, right? What do you mean? We've been doing this for years. Why do you eat matzah on Pesach? Answer.
Anti-Egyptian.
Right. Okay, good. Very good. As I said the last time, anti-Egyptian. As perhaps the bread was, the Egyptians perfected the bread baking process, so a little bit of anti-Egyptian. Okay. What else?
For that, we shouldn't eat bread the whole year.
We should eat bread the whole year, maybe, right? Yeah, very good, right? Why not be anti-Egyptian all year round? It's fun. What do we say in the Haggadah?
They didn't have enough time.
Ah, very good. Take a look, please, at source number 2. Matzah zu sha'anu ochlim al shuma. Why is it that we eat matzah? Here's the reason. Al shum shlo yispeak b'tzei kam shavotenu lachmit. The dough did not have time to rise. Ad shenigla leya melbachem lachem resh baruch hu v'gala miyad. Until God redeemed them. How do we know this? Vayafu et habatzek asher hotziu mimitzrayim. And they baked the doughs that they took out of Egypt. Ugot matzot kilo chametz. They had these great ugot matzot, these cakes of matzah. They're not chametz. Why? They were chased out of Egypt. Velo yochelit mamea. The government said also they didn't have time to prepare the provisions properly. Ladies and gentlemen, my question is as follows. Wait a second. Let's go through the events. It will be a little bit connected to what we said an hour ago. What was the plan? Remember what I told you? What time are they going to leave Egypt? Remember the time that I said? 10 o'clock in the morning, right? Why we could brother? Now, if you want to have fresh provisions, you want to have scrumptious bread, what time would you have to get up to have fresh bread? Give me a time. Can you wake up at 10 to have fresh bread? No, if you're leaving at 10, what time do you have to wake up? Give me a time. Doesn't really matter. 7, 8. This way by 10 o'clock you'll have fresh bread. So let's be a little bit sexist. And the boobies are going to make the bread for us. So the boobies of every household is in charge of bread. She'll wake up at 7. The parents will wake up at 8. The kids will wake up at 9. And everyone will leave at 10. Right? That was the way it was supposed to be. But what? Oh, so what was going to happen? The dough and the breads were all prepared. And they're ready for 7 a.m. wake up. So that by 10 we'd have hot, warm pastries and bread and pitas and baguettes and bagels, everything. But it didn't happen. What ended up happening? That's supposed to happen. What ended up happening?
They ran out.
What do you mean they ran out?
They ran out before the...
Why did they run out?
They were in a rush.
Why were they in a rush?
Maybe they didn't sleep.
Who threw them out?
Egyptian.
Ki gorshu b'Mitzrayim. Paro in his pajamas. That's the song. Paro in pajamas in the middle of the night. No, is that the song? Paro in pajamas in the middle of the night. Doesn't matter. Went to Moshe and said, Kumu tzu'u mitochami. Get out. So they were kicked out at 2 o'clock. Meaning, Malka Bechor happened at midnight. Till Paro put on his robe, and he got out. Did whatever. Had to leave. Takes time. The boobies were like, wait, we can't leave at 2 a.m. I have batzek. I have dough waiting. We can't leave now. I need to bake. I need to cut the dough. Too bad. We gotta leave. So what did they do? They took the dough, and what did they do with the dough? Put it on their shoulders, and they left with this unfinished dough. You follow the timeline now? We're just so used to it because we've said it so many times. We don't have to appreciate it. They camped at a place called Sukkot, and that's where in Perek Gimel, Moshe is given the commands of the book. God commands Moshe to give the commandment to the people. Remember, you guys left in haste. Now, bake. And now we get the obligation of Pesach. First day is Yontif, last day is Yontif. No chametz, imatzah, the whole chapter of Chumash, Perek Gimel. Now you understand. So I ask you a question. Why do matzah on Pesach? Answer. We're supposed to have bread. We left early. Bread, the bread that we eat, is the bread of redemption. We redeemed. Redeemed quickly, in haste. We don't have time to prepare. But that was to remind us of that idea. Is that fair? That's fair. Problem. I read you source 2. But I skipped source 1.
I have a question.
Yeah.
But no one ever calls it bread of redemption. They call it like the bread of slaves.
How did you know that? Because it's source 1.
Yeah.
Look at source 1. We have a problem. Source 1 says the following. Halachmanya, this is the
bread.
bread of affliction. Or poor man's bread. Dachlu avatana ba'ar de mitzvah. That we ate in Egypt. I have a question. When do we eat this in Egypt? What is this line probably referring to? When do we eat matzah in Egypt? Was it on the menu? You know, like building pyramids with matzah? The answer is yes. Because matzah has another component to it. There's no fast food restaurants, but this is called fast food. So the advantage of matzah is if you're a slave and you're on the go, eat it quickly. It's ready quickly, you eat it, you go. So this, in Halachmanya, we're identifying the matzah is something that we ate when we were slaves on the go. I don't understand. So why do we eat matzah on Pesach? Do we eat matzah on Pesach to remind us that we were slaves in Egypt? We needed a fast food matzah? Or do we eat matzah on Pesach because it's a sign of redemption that God took us out in the middle of the night in haste? We didn't have time for beds to rise. There's a contradiction in that letter. Source 1 and source 2. But there's another problem. There's another time that we eat matzah on Pesach, or that's connected to Pesach. We have matzah representing the bread of haste when we were slaves. We have matzah that represents what we ate in the redemptive process. But there's another time that matzah is connected to Pesach. Which was when? We said it before. When else do we eat matzah? Or when did we eat matzah? With the Korban Pesach, the Seder night. Al matzah or mor yachlu. With the Korban Pesach. That was the previous shit that we discussed, right? So I don't understand. We ate matzah the night of Pesach. We're sitting around the Korban Pesach, the bitter hurts. We eat matzah. In the time of the Korban, same thing. We had a Hillel, right? Hillel sandwich. Take matzah, take mar, eat it together. So why do you eat matzah on Pesach? Do we eat matzah on Pesach because we ate when we were slaves? We were redeemed. By the way, the night of Pesach, that Seder night of Pesach Mitzrayim, were we slaves? Or were we free? That was me. I understand. We slaves or we free? Okay. Why did you say free? Why did you say slaves?
Because it's hard and let us go yet.
We're in Egypt! We're not free, we're in Egypt. Why are we free?
Free because we're celebrating with freedom. So we have to be free.
We're acting on freedom, we're celebrating on freedom, we're about to leave. What's going on here? Are we free? Are we slaves? So I think that really matzah has a phenomenal message to it. And it's going to play out really nicely if you appreciate the multiplicity of matzah. The same item, think about this for a second, right? This same item is going to represent slavery and servitude and affliction and suffering. The same item will also represent redemption, Geula, leaving Egypt, hope, promise, future. Now, what will be the bridge matzah. Because I would like to argue that you're both right. The matzah at the Seder bridges the matzah of slavery to the matzah of redemption. Because the night of Pesach, we are in this transition. Remember we said earlier? We eat and we dress up as if we are noble men and noble women. As if we're nobility. But we're not. We're Egypt. It's a transition process. It has to start somewhere. We have to leave servitude, leave slavery, psychologically, physically, emotionally. This is how we do it. So matzah is the tool, is the vehicle, is the physical vehicle that's going to help us bridge that gap and transform us from one of, and it's the same item. Now that's really interesting, that the Torah chose the same item that is slavery, the same item will be redeemed. Why? Why not use it?
Hashem did that also with the Moshe's stick, that it did Nisim, and it also brought the messengers back to show the stick's not doing it, it's the person who's behind the stick, which is really
Is Hashem. Right. I would say the stick is also like a pointer. It's not me, it's Hashem, it's God. That's why Moshe's hand always has to be out. The rod has to be out because it's always out. Right? You're right that the Midrash does say that it's a schizophrenic stick because it both destroys and helps and heals. Right? That's the
nachash.
That's by the nachash, right? That also saved by the nachash. Okay, good. Good. So there's no question, right? But here it's a little different. I mean, there's no miraculous component here. I'm not confused as much here, right? Although you could argue, it's the God to some extent has saved us, and God's going to redeem us. That's also. But here's where things happening, and this, as so much I still need to develop a little bit more. So I really encourage response, participation, reflection. Maybe it's also a message in life. The same thing that makes me a slave, the same thing that occupies and prevents me from becoming who I am and what I am, if I know how to use that properly, I can use the exact same thing that's my vice. I can also use it to heal, to help, to assist, to build me up, to make me better. I'll use a silly, very simplistic example, right? It's really good from a cell phone, right? Computer. On one hand, it can be a terrible distraction. It can be used for negative things. It can be used for lashon. It can be used for things that waste of time. On the other hand, it's a very powerful, productive tool. I can find out the closest minion nearby using my phone, right? How else am I going to know where mincha is, right? It's very convenient to find out what the zman. Right? The same item that can be used as something which is problematic and dangerous and so can also be used there, which is very powerful and very important and vital almost for survival. So I think, but there's also a psychological element. Why? And we spoke a little bit about this last week. From a psychological perspective, the same food, when I would see this food, I think slavery. When I was a slave in Egypt and I saw matzah, my immediate word association would be slavery. It's like fast food. It's fast food. It's a servant's food. Let's face it, guys. If you had to choose what food to eat voluntarily, I don't think you'd choose matzah. I like matzah too, but I like matzah. I like bagels a lot better, right? That's matzah here and there is fine. I like the crunchy taste. That's good. But at the end of the day, we like bagels and baguettes a lot better, right? That's just the way it goes. But so if that food had the taste or had the psychological connection of slavery and servitude, God wanted to say, I want to redeem not just you, I want to redeem the food. I want to redeem your connection to it. I want to show you that something which could have this negative outlook to it can be transformed into something positive, festive, mitzvah-based, commandment, obligatory, almost God-given. And hey, it's like $18 a pound, right? $20 a pound, right? And that is also, and that maybe is why it's chosen as the bridge, to bridge the bread of affliction to a bread of affliction. And the Gemara, by the way, I could bring you many sources of the Gemara. I didn't, because this is only like a mini shir. But the Gemara itself, why is it called matzah? Matzah ani. Is ani based on poor, or is it sha'oni malav harbe? Right? Is it because we talk about it a lot, we discuss it a lot, la'anot, to answer, to respond? It's the vehicle of Haggadah, it's the vehicle of discussion, right? There's a lot to say about matzah. Matzah also has some very positive components to it, right? And that's an amazing thing. That maybe that, I think there's something very almost deep here. The message that God is trying to teach us, and using matzah as that vehicle for the bridge. And I'll give you another thing. Is chametz a good thing or a bad thing? If it's a good thing, then why is it asur? Why is it forbidden to eat during Pesach? If it's a bad thing, then what?
Why do you know?
It should be asur all year, right? You know, if I say non-kosher food, it doesn't matter if it's Pesach or Tuesday or Monday or today. It's not good. But chametz is a strange thing. Chametz today is fine. But for 1 week, no. What do you mean? We don't really ever see an example of food that, without doing anything to the food, that this food, the way it is okay. At a different time, it's totally forbidden. It's like all in is very strange. And I think also that has to do with the timing of it, because we begin with it's asur to eat chametz on Pesach. But in source 3, what happened 7 weeks later? וספרתם לכם ממחרת השבת ביום אביכם את עומר תנופה 7 שבתות תהיינה על ממחרת השבת השביעית תספרו 50 יום והקרבתם מנחה חדשה להשם. What do? You begin counting. So when you count something from point A to point B, you're connecting them. What do we connect Pesach to? Connect it to the holiday, of course, of Shavuot. And what do you do on Shavuot? Taviu lechem תנופה, שתיים, שני יסוד לתינה, chametz tafena. On the holiday of Shavuot, there's a mitzvah to bring a special korban called shtei halachem. There's a mitzvah to bring chametz. 7 weeks later. On today, it's asur to eat chametz, and in 7 weeks, it's a mitzvah to eat chametz. See, here, this is part of the message. That chametz now at this moment is negative. We want to distance ourselves from it. But after a while, it also is, it's a holiday, it's Shavuot, it's a korban. And this is where we see that in the Hasidic world, they use this as a very important thing. What's chametz? Chametz is ego. So chametz is creativity. Really, chametz is essentially a sense of creativity, right? Because I take matzah, I add in creativity, I add in a leavening agent. It's a chemical composition. It transforms the item into something delicious. I'm not really adding any other ingredient to it. I'm adding just a leavening agent. But that leavening agent makes it chametz. So when you leave Egypt, I always say, when you begin to become part of God's nation, we're not looking for creativity. We're looking for recognize who you are, what you are, where you're going. Recognize that you're coming from nothing. After 7 weeks of being built up, Shavuot, then you could bring creativity. Then you have to kind of start off lowly and simple and bridge your way up. It takes a few weeks. It takes time until eventually you get the holiday of Shavuot. And by the way, this is the theme of Shavuot, which is Matan Torah. Matan Torah is all about human creativity. Matan Torah is about ingenuity, it's about learning, it's about creativity, it's about ingenuity, it's about developing, it's about becoming. That's chametz. That's Shavuot, that's the process. So I think what we see from a thematic perspective is chametz isn't good or bad. You begin with matzah. You take that matzah, which represented slavery, and you spin it for something positive. Recognize, we want to become a mamlechet kohen kadosh. We want to become something. We don't want to be slaves anymore. We want to remove our slave mentality and psychology. And it's a process. We have to get there. And the process begins, and it begins first by looking at matzah differently. Don't look at matzah as if you were a slave. Look at matzah as if you're noble. Look at matzah as if it's a commandment. Look at matzah as if you're able to accomplish a mitzvah. And once that's been developed, and you've gone through this process of listening to God's commandments, and listening to what, then finally you get to the stage of you can eat bread, you can enjoy bread. That's called Shavuot. I think that's a couple of the themes that are specifically brought out by matzah. And the truth is, it's also true in life. Certain things that we have in life, if there's if people are like angry or hard work, it's always good to not to change your personality, but channeling your personality, right? It's no good to change who you are. It's much healthier to take who you are, recognize your strengths, recognize your weaknesses, and use your strengths as something which is ultimately going to make you a better person, more productive person, professionally, emotionally, religiously, right? Don't change your personality, but recognize who you are and use your personality to become someone unique and special and talented in your own way. That's kind of almost like matzah. Matzah is saying I can take matzah, something which is almost a deficiency, which is almost slavery, and I can still turn it into a mitzvah. I can make it positive and productive and accomplish something. And that's, I think, perhaps also the message of Yetziat Mitzrayim is I'm going to learn something from my slavery. I'm going to take slavery and not say, oh, because I was a slave, I'm deserving of A, B, and C. I'm going to say, because I was a slave, I'm not going to, I think we discussed this theme in weeks past, because I was a slave, I know how not to treat other people. Because I know what it's like being a slave. I can take my slavery and use it as something to make me and make the nation in Knesset Israel better, and appreciate what it means to be a slave, appreciate what it means to have Geulah and redemption. And those are the idea behind matzah. Okay? All right. Have a good day, everybody.